Welcome back. This is Bonita Creek RC, and today we're going to be working on Buffalo Bill. I was driving it the other day and a rock got sucked up between the tire and the wheel well, and I heard the front end pop. And then when the front would get kind of loaded up and binding a little bit, it would kind of grind and pop and the tires wouldn't spin. So I guess the diff, and that was it. So I popped the diff cover off and looked at it. There's 3 teeth missing, I think. So I ordered a ring and pinion for it, which actually wasn't too expensive. It was like $8 each, which is pretty reasonable. And you can only buy the parts from Gmade. But I did find that these on Amazon, but like there's nobody else that makes these parts aftermarket. They have to be Gmade pretty much. Alright, I got the front axle out, and it is kind of interesting the angle of that diff cover. It's like this is about how the pinion angle is. That's the angle of the shaft of the pinion. Like if it's turned down too much, then you'll get binding and you'll hit it on the rocks. So when you set your axle, it's always kind of a balance between caster angle, which is the angle that the pin is at. The more caster you get, like the more responsive the steering is, but you also don't want to turn down the pinion. And if you get too much of angle there, then the U-joint will start binding. But this one was set up pretty good. But it's just kind of interesting the angle that the diff cover is at, and also that makes it so it'll slide over the rocks better, not having the edge to catch on. All right, so I gotta pull off the knuckles and the diff cover so I can pull out the axle shafts, and then I'll be able to get the ring gear out. So let's get it done. Alright, I got the diff cover off, and this actually has like like in a real axle, like they have the bearing caps. I don't know if that's the correct name or not, but they go over and hold it in place. See, there's some of the missing teeth right there. Doesn't really sound like it's too rough, but I don't know. All right, let's get the diff out. Alright, I got the pinion gear out, and that was kind of tricky because it has a E-clip that goes on the end of this shaft. So this goes on, the shaft goes through the back of the pumpkin case through the bearings there, and then this pinion gear goes on, and then the little E-clip here goes on the end of this shaft. I don't know how I'm going to put that back on. It's going to be a little tricky, but it'll probably just take a few tries. But I did find quite a bit of metal chunks in there, so I took a Q-tip and cleaned it out. Alright, I got the new ring gear put on, and there was just a bit of a burr that went all the way around on the back edge of the hole. So I just took my round file in there and just spun it inside the end of it, and I took that burr off, and then it slid right on. So it's a really tight fit on the center metal piece of this. So there's the center piece is metal, there's a plastic piece that goes over it that the screws thread into. But okay, now I'm gonna have to just mess with the pinion, and I'm just gonna do that because that's gonna be time consuming, I'm thinking. So this is all gonna be put together in a snap. Alright, I got it all put together. It didn't take too long. Got it greased up. I don't know, I'm thinking this is a little too loud. The gear mesh is sounding like it grinds a little too much, but I don't know how it was supposed to sound before, or how it normally sounds with new gears. But here, I'll have you listen a little bit. Like, some of that is grease kind of pulling away from itself on the teeth on the back, but some of that is definitely kind of like a teeth not quite lining up right. Now the E-clip did kind of bend open a little bit, and so I kind of squeezed it shut, but instead of the one that bent open, the one that was kind of normal bent in a little bit, so it's kind of like that shaped. But I don't know where I'd get another E-clip for that, so I'm just gonna see if that works. But right, let's get this axle put together and back in the truck. Okay, got it all put back together, and yeah, it feels pretty good. Doesn't sound too loud. Should be good. So, one other thing that I need to do to this rig, but I don't have the parts for, is replace some of the rod ends. Like the two rod ends on the rear axle, they just the plastic like stretched, and the hole for around the ball is kind of oval shaped, and that's giving it that much rear swing on it. It just kind of mushes around. And then I also need to replace the front upper link rod end on the axle. It's kind of giving this axle kind of some play where it can rock back and forth. It's not as bad as if it could like rock, or if it could move side to side, but it would be good to get these replaced. I just don't know where to find them. I'll probably have to look on the Gmade website. I did look before, but I couldn't figure out how to find them, but I'll just have to try again. Alright, it should be ready to go hit some trails, so we'll go do that. back on the bench. I had a blast driving it. It did pretty good. I didn't hear the front diff too much. I did have a couple problems with it not wanting to shift, like between gears, like it would just kind of free spin in between. Sometimes you have to put it in reverse to get it to go in. I don't know what's up with that. I want to thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see, and we'll see you in the next one.